All right, let's not make this too complicated, right? We don't want to make it too confusing out there. We just go through every game. I'm going to give you a quick lean, maybe a lock. We make some money. It's really that simple here on the Odd Shopper channel. You're new, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, be a part of what we're doing. You've been here since day one. Thank you. You could at least hit the thumbs up button, right? We appreciate you being here, as always, as we roll through the slate here to end the weekend. And I know Monday's right around the corner, so we might as well end on a positive note. I have a ton to talk about, a ton to look at outside of just diving right into these games. Let's go ahead and do that. First up is the Philadelphia Phillies. Now, you have to understand here in this game against the Reds, it was probably the most deflating of losses that you could find following the first game in this series on Friday night. So absolutely love coming back and targeting pitching matchup here, I think, first, but also looking at this and saying, well, you've got an opportunity for the Reds to continue to take advantage of holes in this Phillies offense and lineup. I don't want to dive too deep into each and every game, but just setting the table here, leaning into this under 8.5. It's going to be a big theme on Sunday, is targeting totals. I think on a Sunday today, what jumped out the most, what looked softest, totals. And we're going to go under 8.5 lean here, but do that. Overton on the hill. He's definitely hittable. I get it, but you have to be able to hit in order for also to take advantage of a guy who's hittable. So we'll go under 8.5. Taijuan Walker is going to settle in. That's no problem there. We move to Detroit. Tigers, Red Sox. This one, wow. Boyd with the more consistent of the arms right now, which is kind of saying something as far as Cutter Crawford is concerned. But just like we called out, very, very concerning, knowing, of course, that Crawford could have that whip north of 2 for a little bit, and he implodes or explodes inside, whatever it is that you want to look at. I don't know why there would be anything different here. So I don't want to, again, belabor the point. But you've got Crawford and Boyd in Detroit at Comerica. I just think this leads to more runs. The total sits at 8.5, and absolutely love going over the total 8.5. All right, let me tell you what's happening here at BetMGM. Quick, simple proposition. New Jersey, Colorado, Virginia, Ohio. You have to be 21 or older. If you have a gambling problem, then call 1-800-GAMBLER. Take 60 seconds out of your life. Bet $1, get 200 right back. All you need to do is just sign up and deposit $10. That's it. That's all you need to do. It's going to turn $1 into $200. It's no joke. It's super simple. It's easy. That's why we're here. All right? That's it. Tampa Bay's on fire right now. Is there anything new? Is there anything different at all right there with that? Probably not, right? I mean, Tampa Bay is just doing insane things right now. They are at home against the Oakland Athletics, who are just perennially bad. They cannot be good. Even when they look good, they can't be good. It's a difference. This is where we finally get to institute, consistently at least, a little bit of the run line. We're not heavy on the weekend on the run line, mainly because we can target money line value and totals. But here, this just screams Rasmussen at home against the A's, lower total, will lay the 1.5 for the Rays. Lean, but still lay the 1.5. Move to PNC Park. White Sox in town. Oviedo and Kopech. I don't know what you're going to get. Combined ERA north of 20 right now. Granted, each coming off of one start, but it's not something that you look at and think, well, yeah, these two guys, don't worry, they're going to get this right. That was just inconsistent. That was just an anomaly, that first start for both of these guys. No, absolutely not. And you're going to get a couple of opportunities for Pitts. There's a reason why this total sits at 8.5, and I'm willing to invest in the over here. The biggest reason, of course, is pitching. We are targeting bad pitching. And both teams are sending a bad pitcher to the mound. That's why it's worth targeting. That's why Pittsburgh, even at PNC, they're going to be legging out some runs here. And when you look at this total, would it shock you if it hit 9.5 before the market closed? Not for me. Probably 9 more realistically. So we're getting ahead of this as well. We move to Baltimore. Yankees, Orioles. Not much on the side here for me. This is more of a total play. Let's talk through it, right? You've got Wells on the one side here and going up against Nestor Cortez, who was fine, absolutely fine against the Philadelphia Phillies. No issues there. Similar approach, though, right? Where there are holes in the O's lineup. It's not as daunting, if you will, as, let's say, the Yankees lineup itself, clearly. So you're going to have to get around and manufacture runs. And Nestor Cortez just isn't a guy right now that I would count on Baltimore being able to do that to. So you have Wells on the other side of it. Fresh start, right? I don't know how aggressive they are going to be going after certain guys like Judge. I mean, you can pitch around and survive, give up a run or two if you're not giving up blasts. Going under 8 right now in Baltimore is our lean. To Citi Field, Mets, Marlins, Flushing. This total sits at 8. Mets are a heavy favorite, minus 155 at home at the time in which we're doing this. Again, you let me know in the comments if you have any differing opinions, which I know you do, and I know you will. But we like the Mets, and this is where you can start justifying buying low, maybe. The Miami Marlins are not surprising anybody this year. They're not creeping up on anybody this year. They're also not great either. This is where the Mets, who have dealt with either injury or maybe a disappointing start, like the guy on the hill tonight and Carlos Carrasco, you're getting a nice buy low opportunity. And I like that for this Mets team at home against a Marlins squad that they're, familiar with, absolutely, but in a victorious manner familiar with. This is a team that they can beat up in Miami, and it happens to be at Citi Field, closing down this series against Garrett. I'm okay with the Mets here, and I know that Carrasco comes off a rough one, but I'm okay with the Mets here at fine on the run line. That's where we're going to get some value here. Mets run line minus 1.5 at home. Guardians and Mariners. It seems like these two teams are destined to play each other all year. Zach Plesac's ERA after his last opening, I would say, disaster. It's 54. Now, that's just, the nature of the number and the data and how it looks after one start when you get absolutely pelted. But it doesn't hide the fact that he got absolutely pelted. Just totally crushed. George Kirby, ultimate disappointment too, first time around. Now, when you look at these guys, you think, well, what exactly is going to change? Because it was against different team opponent, if you will, especially with Kirby, who gets roughed up by the Angels. Both of these pitchers now coming in, and you've got the Cleveland Guardians, who are known not to strike out. You've got the Mariners, aggressive team, but also can get on and transition that into scoring at times. All you need is a catalyst, and I think both arms, Kirby to a lesser extent, by all means, but all you need is a catalyst, man. That's it. And that's what I think you've got here in these two arms. That's why I'd love to go over. It's a lean. We'll get to our lock coming up. We'll go over 8 in Cleveland with the Mariners and Guardians. Again, Kirby versus Plesac. This is scoring. You can get runs from Cleveland. Absolutely can get that from Seattle. You just need that right match. And that's what this is with Kirby and Plesac. Let's keep it moving. Minnesota. Now, Tyler Mahle's on the hill here, and there should be no concern, no indication that he's going to struggle. Nothing like that. The team that is struggling right now, the team that looks like a shell of what we saw right through the World Series, the Houston Astros. This team just doesn't have it right now, right? I don't know what's going to change. I don't know what's going to change. All of that They just don't have it right now. And I don't want to go too deep into this game because it's a lock, simply because we're fading the Astros. This is not going to change right now overnight. Minnesota minus 110 at home. That's fine with me. That is totally okay. Would that be different if they're not? Houston isn't. So stay back. Don't worry. Lock up Minnesota. Let's keep it moving. All right. Next up, in Milwaukee. Let's look at this. Cardinals, Brewers. Not the offensive explosion that we have come to expect with these squads. But in this case, you've got Woodford on the hill and Peralta. Now, Freddie Peralta, I do think you can look at and say, all right, this is now stability. How much is Milwaukee going to get to St. Louis? A little bit, a lot bit, probably not, somewhere in the middle bit, right? Freddie Peralta is going to be fine. Like, Freddie Peralta is going to do his part. It's going to be tough for the Cardinals to get to him. Maybe he gives up a run or two in a 5+ inning outing. But I think overall, this pitching matchup, even Woodford, who needs to settle his ass down, this is more of an underplay for me on the total. I don't think you're going to get much value going over 9. It's not worth the risk when you have at least one arm who is capable of shutting down the opposition. And Freddie Peralta is clearly deep enough. 5-6 innings, 1 to 2 run ball. That's not enough for me. I'm not going to count on 7 or 8 runs on the Milwaukee Brewers to push this total. So I see a 9, and I'm totally okay with going under there. Lean in on that. All right, next up, Rangers, Cubs. Lean here, but I want you to know we're going to go Rangers on the road. Texas has become, right from the start, a nice surprise. Now, this division is going to cannibalize itself. I don't think you're going to have this clear-cut winner that's going to have, some 25-30 game gap. But it's pretty cool to see Texas go out, spend a lot of money, address some areas, see if they can put this thing together. The problem, of course, is that they're on a little skid right now. Little skid. Now, this baseball, so you're 9-10 games into this thing. You're going to have a skid or two, as long as you're not losing, like 8 of 9. That's fine, but they're not there yet, at least. And like I said, this division, the only team that's on a win streak, technically, is like a couple in a row, Seattle. That's it. Everybody else is taking a lump or two. So I look at this overall and think, well, Texas has improved. You have the ability to get still ahead of most of the betting world, catching up to Texas, I think, for the most part. And that's all we're doing, is taking the Rangers here on the money line, value as a dog. You want to look at the matchup, that's fine too. But I think there's no issue. Look, Taillon is going to get roughed up. It's not a great matchup for Taillon versus the Rangers, especially after already getting roughed up. So that alone is enough for me to push the Rangers on plus money. Low total, I get it, but they're going to do enough to eat by. Colorado, Coors Field. Oof. I think the first 5 might be the best thing to look at here. These two pitchers in Kuhl and Feltner are so bad together combined that one of them is more likely to get chased in the first 5 than not, right? Like, one of these guys is more likely just to get run out of the building than not. And that's most likely Feltner on the hill, but it's in Coors Field. So if you just take the over first 5, the total, you're covered, I think, for the most part, that one of these guys is just going to absolutely shit all over himself. Or, like, on whatever he's wearing. So not to belabor the point here, it's Coors Field. It's a little bit in the afternoon. I get it. Don't expect much, but you can expect offense. And I think that offense comes primarily in the first 5. And I love the attack here to go over the first 5 total with the Rock. You let me know when that thing pops up in the comments, but that's where we go now, over first 5 total in Coors Field. To San Francisco, this game is just an under. It's another lean here for me. But you've got 2 competent arms. Bubic on the hill is no problem here for me. Royals are probably going to lose this game, but they go out swinging. And that's a big reason why you trust a guy like Bubic in a total play here. On the other side, Desclafani is a guy that has already been out there and is limited opposition and gets a good matchup with the Kansas City Royals. So this pitching matchup is what fuels initially my underplay with the San Francisco Giants and Kansas City Royals. And looking at, the ballpark, to the matchup for each individual pitcher, to the point in which I just don't think you are going to get a lot of runs here with any change or adjustment. This is probably the first time in the season where you may see a day off, etc. I don't think you're going to see a concerted effort. It's more just like get in, get out. And this is one of those games that screams that for me. Another one, too. You've got Detmers and Kikuchi on the hill. Competent pitchers in LA. Competent pitchers. The Angels have been able to put up runs. And that's a concern for anybody betting unders with the Angels. But I have to tell you, in this particular case, I think Kikuchi stands a really good shot at weathering the storm here from the Angels' bats. It's a guy that can be boom bust with K's, don't get me wrong, but and that's what you're betting on, I think Kikuchi can stand up to the test for the most part, going through a couple of times in the lineup while still getting some K's out there. So I look at this total at 9.5, knowing how a lot of that is built into what the Angels have been doing. I'm right. Let's do this. No way. I'm definitely going to bank on Kikuchi and Detmers, mind you, to a lesser extent, and go under the 9.5 total here. To Arizona, over. Simple. I don't trust either one of these pitchers, Grove or Nelson. They don't have enough. They probably won't be out there a ton, one of them at least. And the Dodgers are only a short road favorite, and that total is at 9.5. So Arizona doesn't win 3-1. Arizona gets a bunch of runs up and prepares for most likely a charge from the Dodgers that never comes. But in the event that the LA Dodgers can get a couple of runs up there, I want to get ahead of that total at 9.5 and go over it, knowing that Arizona can get to the Dodgers. And that's LA's fault with their pitching matchup, not mine. Can't blame me. Last one, Sunday Night Baseball. Every single game, told you. Dodd, Lugo on the hill. Two guys really good in their first start. No problem there. Sunday night, it's Atlanta. Not sure what the weather's going to be like with the wet rain throughout. So we know Savannah, also at the Masters and Augusta. So that wet, that humidity, everything that comes with it. You're going to see a major opportunity, I think, to go under here. And that's going to be the beauty of it. To go under 9 before this thing drops to 8.5. So you're watching this video, you sat through everything, and I'm looking just to double check. Yep. The two pitchers, the weather, the fact that you're going to get a couple of guys that aren't going to see a lot of pitches at the top of each lineup. Seriously, don't waste your time. You already wasted your time. At least, I didn't putting this together, but you did just sitting here with me. And I don't mean that from the information. I mean, like, you had to sit through me in order to get the information. So I understand. It's not ideal. It's not ideal. But we appreciate you big time. Hey, join the Discord on your way out, will you? I say that because we're doing good stuff, right? Just did 2 parlays last night. Last night in the Discord. ES Insider is the code. You can join below. I'll give you half off your first week. 2 parlays last night alone. It's pretty cool. And that's what we continue to do. That's why I continue to tell you, hey, hit the thumbs up, please, on the way out. See you next week.